Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of charisma.
Ooh, charisma.
You know that magnetic quality that draws people in?
Yeah.
We're working with a fascinating transcript from a YouTube video by Cloudy Library called Power of Aura, Improve Your Charisma.
Okay.
And it's absolutely packed with insights about what charisma really is, how it works, and how you can cultivate it.
Exciting.
I'm so excited to unpack this with you.
Me too. And, I think you'll be surprised to learn that charisma isn't some magical gift reserved for a select few. It's actually a set of skills that anyone can develop with practice.
Okay, I am intrigued.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics.
Right.
What exactly is charisma?
Right.
I mean, we hear the word all the time, but what does it actually mean?
So at its core, charisma is about influence.
Okay.
It's the ability to inspire, persuade, and motivate others. Think of leaders who can rally people around a common goal, or speakers who can just captivate an audience.
Right.
They possess a certain magnetism that draws people in and makes them want to listen.
So it's not just about being liked or being the life of the party.
Exactly. While likability can be a part of it, true charisma goes deeper. It's about connecting with others on an emotional level, understanding their needs, and inspiring them to take action.
Now, the video transcript we have talks about some common myths surrounding charisma, for example, that it's only for extroverts.
Okay.
Is there any truth to that?
Not at all.
Okay.
Introverts can be incredibly charismatic, too. Think of figures like Bill Gates or Elon Musk.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily the most outgoing personalities,
Right.
but they possess a quiet intensity and a compelling vision that draws people in.
Yeah.
Introverts often excel in specific types of charisma, like focus charisma, which is all about making deep one-on-one connections.
That's so interesting. It really challenges those stereotypes about who can be charismatic. The video also mentions that charisma isn't about manipulation, right?
Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Authentic charisma is rooted in genuine connection and respect for others.
Okay.
It's about using your influence for good,
Right.
not for personal gain or to exploit others.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. Would you rather be admired for who you pretend to be or for who you truly are?
That's a great point. I think a lot of people might associate charisma with manipulation, especially in today's world, where there's so much emphasis on personal branding and social media.
Right.
It's refreshing to hear that real charisma comes from a place of authenticity.
It really does. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, embracing your unique strengths, and using those to connect with others in a meaningful way.
Now, the video we have actually breaks down charisma into 4 different types.
Okay.
I love this because it shows how multifaceted charisma can be.
Yeah.
It mentions visionary focus, kindness, and authority. Let's break those down a bit, shall we? Okay, so let's start with visionary charisma.
These individuals are inspiring leaders who can paint a picture of a better future.
Right.
And rally people around that shared vision.
Yeah, like Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs.
Yes.
They had this incredible ability to articulate a compelling vision that resonated with people on a deep emotional level.
And they inspire people to take action.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, visionary charisma can be incredibly powerful.
Right.
But it might not be the most effective approach in every situation.
Okay.
Particularly in intimate settings or when dealing with complex interpersonal dynamics.
That makes sense. So what about focus charisma?
Individuals with focused charisma are masters of making people feel seen and heard.
Okay.
They're exceptional listeners, they make strong eye contact,
Right.
and they give you their undivided attention, making you feel like you're the only person in the room. They might not be the loudest voice in a crowd, but they have this way of drawing you in and making you feel understood.
I think we all know someone like that.
Yeah.
The friend who just makes you feel completely comfortable and heard.
Right.
Now, kindness charisma sounds pretty self-explanatory.
It is in a way.
Yeah.
These individuals radiate warmth and empathy.
Okay.
They have a genuine concern for others and make you feel cared for and supported. Think of Mother Teresa or the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
They possess a quiet strength and compassion that inspires others to be kinder and more compassionate themselves.
That's beautiful. And finally, we have authority charisma.
Right.
What distinguishes this type?
Individuals with authority charisma project confidence and competence.
Okay.
They're seen as experts in their field, and their opinions carry weight. They might hold positions of power or simply possess a deep knowledge and understanding that commands respect.
Right.
Think of a renowned surgeon, a seasoned judge, or a successful CEO.
So it's not just about being in a position of authority, but also about having the knowledge and experience to back it up.
Precisely.
Okay.
Now, it's important to note that most people don't fit neatly into just one of these categories.
Right.
We all have a unique blend of these different types of charisma.
And we might find that certain types are more dominant in certain situations.
It's like a charisma cocktail.
Yes.
You can mix and match depending on the context.
Exactly.
This really challenges the idea that charisma is a fixed trait.
Yeah.
It's more like a set of skills that we can develop and adapt to different situations.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the foundation of charisma, self-awareness. This is the bedrock of personal growth and, by extension, charismatic development.
Okay.
It's about knowing your strengths, weaknesses, values,
Right.
and how your actions impact others.
Okay.
It involves honest self-reflection and being open to feedback,
Yeah.
even if it's a little uncomfortable at times.
You know, this reminds me of something I read recently. A study found that people who practice daily self-reflection are better at understanding their emotions, managing stress, and building stronger relationships. That's interesting. It's like taking stock of who you are and how you present yourself to the world. That's a great point. And one practical tip from the video is to ask yourself a few key questions each day.
Okay.
How am I feeling? Why am I reacting this way? What motivates me? This helps you identify patterns in your behavior and gain more control over your responses.
I love that it's simple. It's so powerful. Okay, so we've got self-awareness as the base.
Right.
What's next in building this foundation of charisma?
The next key element is emotional intelligence, which the video refers to as the secret ingredient of charisma.
I've heard that term before, but honestly, I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Emotional intelligence is all about understanding and managing emotions, both your own and those of others. It's crucial for building strong connections and navigating social situations effectively.
So it's not just about being in touch with your own feelings, but also being sensitive to how others are feeling.
Exactly.
Okay.
One important aspect of emotional intelligence highlighted in the video is expanding your emotional vocabulary.
Right.
Instead of just saying, I feel good or I feel bad, try to be more specific. Are you feeling content, joyful, frustrated, or anxious?
That's a great point. I know I'm guilty of oversimplifying my emotions sometimes.
Right.
But by being more precise with our language, we can gain a deeper understanding of our own emotional landscape, which in turn helps us better understand and respond to the emotions of others.
Precisely. And that leads us to empathy, which is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence.
Oh, wow.
Empathy is the ability to step into someone else's shoes and see the world from their perspective, to understand their feelings and motivations, even if you don't agree with them.
You know, this reminds me of a conversation I had recently with a friend who was going through a tough time. I was initially struggling to relate to their situation because it was so different from anything I'd experienced.
Right.
But then I made a conscious effort to imagine myself in their shoes, and it completely shifted my perspective. I was able to offer genuine support and understanding instead of just giving generic advice.
That's a perfect example of empathy in action.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to fix someone's problems or offer solutions, but about simply being present with them and letting them know that their feelings are valid.
And the video also mentions emotional regulation as an important part of emotional intelligence.
Yes, emotional regulation is the ability to manage your emotions in healthy ways.
Okay.
It's not about suppressing your feelings, but about acknowledging them and choosing how to express them appropriately.
So if you're feeling angry, it's not about pretending you're not angry, but about finding constructive ways to express that anger.
Exactly. Techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, and reframing negative thoughts can be incredibly helpful for regulating emotions.
Okay. So we've covered self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Now let's talk about something we can literally see.
Okay.
Body language.
Ah, yes. Body language is incredibly powerful. It can communicate volumes without us even saying a word. Charismatic people tend to use open and confident body language that invites connection and projects assurance.
So what are some specific examples of charismatic body language?
Well, good posture is key. Standing or sitting up straight conveys confidence and presence. It makes you appear taller and more commanding.
Yeah.
It also helps you breathe more deeply, which can actually have a calming effect and boost your confidence.
I've definitely noticed that when I slouch, I tend to feel less confident. Like my body language is influencing my state of mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And eye contact is crucial.
Okay.
Making eye contact shows that you're engaged and interested in what the other person is saying.
Right.
It conveys respect and creates a sense of connection.
But there's a fine line between making eye contact and staring someone down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to aim for a natural and comfortable level of eye contact.
Right.
Hold their gaze for a few seconds, then break away briefly before re-engaging.
The video also mentioned something called mirroring.
Okay.
What is that exactly?
Mirroring is about subtly matching the body language of the person you're talking to.
Okay.
It can create a sense of rapport and make the other person feel more comfortable.
So if someone leans forward, you might lean forward slightly as well.
Exactly.
Right.
But it has to be subtle.
Right.
You don't want to mimic them in an obvious or exaggerated way that would just come across as creepy.
Right. It's more about unconsciously syncing up with their energy and creating a sense of harmony.
Exactly. And don't forget about facial expressions. A genuine smile can be incredibly disarming and create a positive first impression.
Yeah.
But it has to be genuine.
Right.
People can spot a fake smile a mile away.
I've definitely been on the receiving end of those forced smiles.
Right.
It feels so inauthentic. Okay, so we've covered the visual aspect of charisma, but what about how we sound?
Yeah.
What are some vocal techniques that can enhance our charisma?
Your voice is a powerful instrument. And the way you speak can have a huge impact on how your message is received and how you're perceived.
Right.
Charismatic people tend to have voices that are pleasant to listen to, conveying confidence, warmth, and enthusiasm.
So it's not just about what we say, but how we say it.
Precisely, the video highlights the importance of breathing from your diaphragm.
Okay.
This helps you project your voice more effectively and create a richer, more resonant sound.
I've heard that before, breathing from your diaphragm instead of your chest helps you project your voice without straining.
Exactly, and it gives your voice more power and authority. Another important technique is varying your tone and pace.
Okay.
A monotone voice can be incredibly boring to listen to, even if you're saying fascinating things.
I've definitely zoned out during presentations where the speaker had no vocal variation.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
So use your voice like an instrument.
Okay.
Raise your pitch to convey excitement or emphasize a key point. Lower your pitch to create a sense of calm or authority. Speed up your pace to convey urgency or excitement. Slow down to create emphasis or to allow your audience to process information.
Those are great tips. And the video also mentions using pauses effectively.
Pauses can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
They can create anticipation, emphasize a key point, or give your audience time to process information.
I've noticed that great speakers often use silence to their advantage. It's like the silence itself becomes part of the message.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the importance of volume and articulation. Speak clearly and project your voice so that everyone can hear you, but avoid shouting, which can come across as aggressive or desperate.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're projecting confidence and authority without being overwhelming.
Precisely. And remember those pesky filler words like, and like, they can make you sound less confident and distract from your message.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of using filler words. It's something I'm working on. Any tips for breaking that habit?
One technique is to simply become more aware of when you're using them.
Okay.
Once you're aware of the pattern, you can start to consciously replace them with pauses.
So instead of saying, just take a brief moment to gather your thoughts.
Exactly. It might feel a little awkward at first, but with practice, it will become more natural.
Okay, so we've covered self-awareness, emotional intelligence, body language, and vocal techniques.
Right.
That brings us to the final element of the foundation of charisma. Presence.
Okay.
What exactly does that mean?
Presence is about being fully engaged in the moment, both mentally and physically. It's about being present with the people you're with, giving them your undivided attention and making them feel like they're the only person in the room.
I love that description. It's about that feeling of being completely absorbed in the interaction without distractions or mental chatter.
Exactly. And a big part of cultivating presence is practicing mindfulness.
I've heard a lot about mindfulness lately. It seems to be the buzzword of the moment, but to be honest, I'm not sure I fully understand what it means.
Mindfulness is simply about paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
It's about noticing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting carried away by them.
So it's about observing your internal experience without getting swept up in it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And there are many ways to practice mindfulness. You can try formal meditation practices, or you can simply incorporate mindfulness into your daily activities.
Like paying attention to the sensations of your feet on the ground as you walk, or savoring the flavors of your food as you eat.
Exactly. Even a few moments of mindful breathing can help you feel more grounded and present.
Right.
And when you're more present, you're more likely to be fully engaged in your interactions with others.
That makes sense. When you're not distracted by your own thoughts or worries, you can truly focus on the person in front of you.
Right. And remember, presence is also about being comfortable with silence.
Okay.
Charismatic people don't feel the need to fill every pause in the conversation. They understand that silence can be a powerful tool. It can create emphasis, give people space to process their thoughts, or simply allow for a moment of connection without words.
I've noticed that in my own interactions, sometimes the most meaningful moments are those where we simply sit in comfortable silence with each other.
Absolutely. And finally, presence is also about authenticity. It's about being genuine and true to yourself, not trying to be someone you're not.
I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
True charisma isn't about putting on a facade or adopting a persona.
Right.
It's about letting your true self shine through.
Exactly. And that requires a certain level of confidence you have to be comfortable in your own skin and believe in your own value.
The video mentioned some interesting techniques for boosting confidence, like preparing well for situations so you feel more knowledgeable, and practicing power poses.
Okay.
I've heard about power poses before, but I'm a little skeptical. Do they really work?
There's actually a growing body of research that suggests they do. Standing in a powerful posture for a few minutes can actually increase testosterone levels, which are associated with confidence and dominance,
Okay.
and decrease cortisol levels, which are associated with stress.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Okay.
So our body language can actually influence our hormonal levels and our state of mind.
Exactly. So if you're feeling a little nervous before a big presentation or a social event, try striking a power pose for a few minutes beforehand. You might be surprised at how much it helps you feel more confident and in control.
I'm definitely going to try that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've defined charisma, debunked some myths, and explored those 5 foundational elements: self-awareness, emotional intelligence, body language, vocal techniques, and presence.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
And remember, building these foundations is an ongoing process.
Right.
It's about making small, consistent changes over time.
Yeah,
Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and most importantly, stay true to who you are.
absolutely. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring specific charismatic communication skills that can help you level up your conversations and make a positive impact on the world around you.
Sounds good.
I'm excited for that.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive into charisma. Last time we laid the groundwork, exploring those different types of charisma and those core elements that make someone magnetic. But now, let's shift gears and talk about how those foundational elements actually play out in our interactions with others.
Okay.
In other words, let's talk about charismatic communication skills.
Yes, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
We've got the foundation, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, all that good stuff.
Right.
But how do we actually use that in our conversations? What are the specific skills we need to focus on?
Well, the source material highlights a number of key skills, and one that might surprise you is active listening.
Okay.
It might seem counterintuitive,
Right.
but truly charismatic people are fantastic listeners.
Okay.
They go beyond just hearing the words. They engage fully with the speaker, showing genuine interest and really trying to understand the message,
Right.
the emotions, and even the unspoken intentions behind the words.
So it's not just about waiting for your turn to speak or thinking about what witty thing you're going to say next. It's about being completely present and focused on what the other person is saying.
Think about how it feels when someone is truly listening to you.
Yeah.
You feel seen, heard, and understood.
Right.
And that creates a powerful connection.
It does.
Like you're the only person in the room.
I know. I feel so much more comfortable opening up to someone when I feel like they're really listening.
Right. So how do we become better active listeners?
Yeah. How do we do that?
It starts with giving the speaker your undivided attention.
Okay.
Put away your phone, make eye contact, and use your body language to show that you're engaged. Lean in, nod when it feels natural, and use your facial expressions to reflect your interest.
So many times I've caught myself scrolling through my phone while someone is talking to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's so rude.
It is.
And it sends a message that I'm not really interested.
It's a common habit these days.
It is.
But one we need to be mindful of breaking if we want to be better communicator. And another important aspect of active listening is resisting the urge to interrupt or plan your response while the other person is still talking.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is.
My mind is always racing ahead thinking about what I'm going to say next.
I think we're all guilty of that to some extent, but instead of focusing on your own thoughts, try to focus entirely on what the speaker is saying and how they're saying it. Listen for the nuances in their tone of voice and pay attention to their body language. It can reveal so much about their emotional state and their true meaning.
That's so true. So sometimes what people say and how they say it are two different things.
Exactly. And another key element of active listening is offering verbal and nonverbal feedback. Use small encouragements like, or I see. And when it feels appropriate, paraphrase key points back to the speaker to confirm your understanding. You can say something like, so what you're saying is, or it sounds like you're feeling.
That makes the speaker feel heard and validated. It shows that you're not just passively listening, but actively processing and engaging with their words.
Exactly. And active listening is the foundation for the next skill, empathy.
Empathy, that's a word we hear all the time.
We do.
But what does it actually mean in the context of charismatic communication?
Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's about stepping outside of your own experience and putting yourself in their shoes.
This reminds me of something I read recently about mirror neurons. These are special cells in our brains that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. It's like our brains are wired for empathy.
That's fascinating. It really highlights the importance of empathy as a fundamental human capacity. And the source material we have talks about practicing empathy by tapping into curiosity. When you're interacting with someone, try to see things from their perspective. Ask yourself, what might they be feeling? What experiences or beliefs might be shaping their viewpoint?
It's about acknowledging that everyone has their own unique story and their own valid perspective. And empathy doesn't require you to agree with someone.
No, it doesn't.
But it does mean making a sincere effort to understand where they're coming from.
Exactly. It's about listening with an open mind and a compassionate heart. And the video also suggests practicing expressing empathy in your responses. Using phrases like, that sounds challenging, or I can imagine how you might feel in that situation. These phrases can make a big difference.
It's about validating their feelings and acknowledging the difficulty of their experience.
And remember, empathy isn't just about responding to negative emotions. Being able to genuinely share in someone's joy or excitement is equally important for building strong connections. So if your friend shares good news, don't just say, that's great. Really try to feel their joy and reflect it back to them. Say something like, I'm so happy for you, I can tell how much this means to you.
That's a great point. It's about being present with them in their joy, just as we would be present with them in their sorrow.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got active listening and empathy. Now let's talk about a skill that can really captivate an audience. Storytelling.
Ooh, yes, storytelling. I love a good story.
And so do most people. A well-told story can grab attention, evoke emotions, and make complex ideas relatable in a way that facts and figures simply can't.
It's like those captivating speakers who can hold an entire audience spellbound with their words.
And the source material emphasizes building a repertoire of personal anecdotes and experiences that illustrate key points or lessons.
So it's not just about memorizing facts or statistics.
No.
But about drawing on your own experiences to make your message more relatable and engaging.
Exactly. And those stories don't have to be these big dramatic events. Sometimes the small everyday experiences are the most effective.
This reminds me of a time I was giving a presentation about the importance of customer service. I could have just recited dry statistics about customer satisfaction rates. But instead I shared a personal anecdote about a time I received exceptional customer service at a local coffee shop. It was a simple story, but it really resonated with the audience because it was relatable and authentic.
That's a perfect example. And when you're crafting your stories, focus on creating a clear structure. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Start with a hook that grabs attention, build tension or interest in the middle, and conclude with a clear point or takeaway. And don't forget about those sensory details. Use vivid language that brings your story to life.
It's like painting a picture with words using language to evoke sights, sounds, smells, and emotions.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use your voice and body language to enhance the storytelling.
Vary your tone of voice to create suspense or excitement.
Yes.
Use hand gestures to emphasize key points or to act out certain parts of the story.
And practice your storytelling skills in low-stakes situations.
Okay.
Share your stories with friends or family. Pay attention to what resonates with them and refine your technique based on their reactions.
Now, closely related to storytelling is the art of persuasion. Charismatic people often have this knack for winning others over, but it's not about manipulation or coercion. It's about authentic and compelling communication that inspires people to see things from your perspective.
One key principle highlighted in the video is to focus on benefits rather than features.
Okay.
So instead of just listing the attributes of your idea or proposal, emphasize how it will positively impact your audience.
So it's about connecting your message to their needs, desires, and values.
Exactly. If you're trying to persuade your boss to give you a raise, don't just focus on how hard you've been working. Instead, highlight how your contributions have benefited the company and how a raise would allow you to continue making those contributions.
It's about framing your argument in a way that resonates with their interests and motivations.
Precisely. And the source material also recommends using concrete examples and relatable analogies to make your point stick.
This reminds me of that famous saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying something is efficient, give specific example of how it saves time or resources.
Exactly. And social proof is powerful as well.
Yeah.
Sharing examples of how others have benefited from your idea can be very persuasive.
Testimonials, case studies, those sorts of things.
Exactly. But remember, true persuasion isn't about winning an argument or forcing your opinion on someone. It's about finding common ground and creating mutual understanding.
So it's about having a dialogue, not a monologue.
Right. Be open to compromise. Be willing to adjust your position based on new information. And remember that sometimes the best outcome is a win-win situation where both parties feel heard and respected.
Okay, so we've covered active listening, empathy, storytelling, and persuasion. But what about those difficult conversations that we tend to avoid? How can we handle those with charisma?
Well, the source material has some great advice for navigating challenging conversations.
Okay.
Whether it's addressing a conflict, delivering difficult feedback, or discussing a sensitive topic.
Right.
And the key is to approach these conversations with grace, compassion, and a commitment to clear and empathetic communication.
I think a lot of people struggle with those difficult conversations. It's so easy to get defensive or to avoid the issue altogether.
It's definitely challenging, but those communication skills we've been talking about can make a world of difference.
So how do we start?
The source material recommends starting by setting the right tone. Choose a private and comfortable setting if possible, and begin with a statement that expresses your positive intentions.
For example, you could say, I wanted to talk to you because I value our relationship, and I think it's important that we address this.
Exactly. That sets a much more collaborative tone than something like, we need to talk, you've been doing this wrong.
Right. It's about approaching the conversation with a spirit of collaboration, not confrontation. And the video also emphasizes using I statements to express your thoughts and feelings without placing blame.
I statements are so powerful.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, you always interrupt me, you could try, I feel frustrated when I'm not able to finish my thoughts.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Statements allow you to take ownership of your experience without putting the other person on the defensive.
And remember, even though the conversation might be difficult, it's essential to practice active listening and empathy throughout.
Even if you disagree with the other person's perspective, try to understand where they're coming from. Acknowledge their feelings and try to see things from their point of view.
Exactly. It's about validating their experience even if you don't agree with their interpretation of events.
Right.
And the source material also emphasizes the importance of clear and specific communication.
Okay.
Avoid vague generalizations that can lead to misunderstandings if you're providing feedback. Focus on specific behaviors or situations rather than making sweeping statements about the person's character.
So instead of saying, you're always so negative.
Right.
You might say, I noticed that you made several critical comments during the meeting. I'm wondering what was going on for you at that time.
That's a great example. It's about focusing on observable behaviors and expressing genuine curiosity about the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
And if things start to get heated, remember to manage your own emotions. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and if necessary, suggest taking a break and resuming the conversation when everyone has had a chance to calm down.
Sometimes a little space can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about another crucial aspect of charismatic communication: public speaking.
Okay.
Whether you're presenting to a small group or addressing a large audience, those same principles of charismatic communication can help you deliver your message with impact.
Public speaking, I think that's something that strikes fear in the hearts of many. But it's such an important skill to develop, especially in today's world.
It is, and it doesn't have to be terrifying. The key is to remember that public speaking is simply a form of conversation, even if it's largely one-sided.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off.
And the source material emphasizes preparation.
Okay.
Know your material inside and out, but don't memorize a script word for word. Instead, focus on internalizing the key points and the overall structure of your talk. This will allow you to speak more naturally and adapt to your audience's reactions.
So it's about being prepared, but also being flexible and engaging with the audience in the moment.
Exactly. And use the power of your voice.
Yes.
Vary your tone, pace, and volume to keep the audience engaged.
Right.
Use pauses strategically for emphasis or to give your audience time to process information.
I've definitely noticed that great speakers use their voices like instruments, creating a kind of symphony of words. It's mesmerizing.
And the source material also talks about engaging the audience through eye contact. Instead of just looking at your notes or at a screen, try to make eye contact with individual members of the audience.
Right.
It creates a sense of connection and makes people feel like you're speaking directly to them.
It's like you're having a one-on-one conversation with each person in the room, even if it's a large room.
Exactly. And use inclusive language like we instead of I.
Okay.
It creates a sense of shared purpose and makes the audience feel like you're all in this together.
Right.
And encourage participation through questions or activities. Don't be afraid to get the audience involved. It helps them stay engaged and makes the presentation more dynamic.
It's like you're creating a collaborative experience rather than a one-way lecture.
Exactly. And most importantly, let your authenticity and passion shine through.
Yeah.
Audiences respond to speakers who are genuinely enthusiastic about their topic and who bring their true selves to the presentation.
I love that it's about sharing your passion and your unique perspective with the world.
Exactly. Now, it's important to remember that becoming a truly charismatic communicator takes time and practice. Don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate results.
Right.
Every interaction is an opportunity to practice and improve.
Okay.
Pay attention to how people respond to you. Be open to learning from your experiences and keep pushing yourself to grow. And remember, charismatic communication isn't about adopting a fake persona or manipulating others.
Right.
It's about connecting authentically, bringing your best self to every interaction, and using your communication skills to create positive outcomes for everyone involved.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. It's about using our communication skills to make the world a better place. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring how those charismatic communication skills can enhance our personal relationships.
I'm looking forward to diving into that with you. See you in part 3.
Welcome back to our deep dive into charisma.
Yeah.
We've been on quite a journey so far, haven't we?
We have.
We've explored those foundations of charisma, unpacked the different types, and really dug deep into those essential communication skills.
Right.
But now, I'm excited to shift gears and explore how charisma plays out in our personal relationships.
Okay.
You know, the connections that really matter.
Right.
Romantic partners, family, friends. It's one thing to be charismatic in a presentation or at a networking event, but how does charisma show up in the dynamics of our closest bonds?
That's a great question, and I think it's something a lot of people are curious about. After all, charisma isn't just about impressing strangers, it's about enriching those core relationships that give our lives meaning and joy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with romantic relationships. The source material talks about charisma as a powerful force of attraction, especially in those early stages of a relationship. It makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
That warmth, that confidence, the ability to make someone feel special, it can create an instant spark.
It definitely can. Think about those initial encounters that just feel electric.
Yes.
You're drawn to someone's energy, their sense of humor, the way they make you feel seen and understood.
It's like there's an invisible magnet pulling you towards them.
Exactly, and that's where charisma comes in. It's about those qualities that make you stand out from the crowd and spark that initial interest. But of course, as we all know, building a lasting romantic relationship takes more than just initial attraction.
Right. It's about sustaining that spark over the long haul, navigating the inevitable ups and downs, and growing together as individuals while nurturing the bond you share. So how does charisma play into that? How does it help us build those strong, vibrant connections that stand the test of time?
Well, the source material emphasizes the importance of authenticity. True charisma in a romantic relationship isn't about using manipulative tactics or playing games. It's about creating a genuine connection, being your true self, and showing a sincere interest in your partner for who they are.
I love that it's about letting go of those masks we sometimes wear and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and real with each other.
And that vulnerability, that willingness to be seen for who we truly are, can be incredibly attractive and create a deep sense of intimacy.
Absolutely. It's about building a relationship based on trust, respect, and genuine affection. And the video also talks about maintaining a sense of mystery and excitement, even in long-term partnerships.
Wow.
How do we do that? I mean, it's easy to fall into routines and take each other for granted after years of being together.
It's definitely a challenge, but it's so important, and charismatic couples find ways to keep things fresh. They might try new activities together, explore new places, or simply engage in deep, meaningful conversations that rekindle that spark. It's about continuing to learn about each other even after years of being together.
That makes sense. It's about cultivating a sense of curiosity and adventure within the relationship, never stopping that process of discovery.
Exactly. And it's also about maintaining a sense of playfulness. Remember when you first started dating?
Oh, yeah.
How you do silly things together, laugh at each other's jokes, and just enjoy each other's company.
Those early days are filled with so much lighthearted fun and spontaneity.
Exactly. And charismatic couples find ways to keep that spirit alive even as life gets busier and responsibilities pile up. They make time for fun, for silliness, for those shared moments of joy that remind them why they fell in love in the first place.
I love that it's about remembering to be playful with each other, to lighten up and not take ourselves too seriously. And of course, active listening and empathy are crucial in any relationship.
Yeah.
But especially in a romantic partnership, it's about really tuning into your partner's words, emotions, and nonverbal cues so you can understand their needs and desires on a deeper level.
Absolutely. It's about being present with your partner even when you're tired, stressed, or distracted.
Right.
Putting down your phone, making eye contact, and really listening to what they're saying, both verbally and non-verbally in empathy, is crucial for navigating those inevitable disagreements that arise in any relationship.
Disagreements are bound to happen. But how do we handle those conflicts in a way that strengthens the relationship rather than tearing it apart?
That's where those charismatic communication skills we talked about earlier come in. It's about being able to address issues calmly and clearly listening without becoming defensive, and focusing on finding solutions rather than assigning blame. Remember to use those I statements.
Right.
Focus on specific behaviors rather than making generalizations, and approach conflict with the mindset that you and your partner are on the same team working together to solve a problem.
That's such a helpful reframe. It shifts the dynamic from me versus you to us versus the problem. It takes the sting out of the conflict and allows us to approach it with a more collaborative spirit.
Exactly. And remember, empathy doesn't always mean agreeing. It's about validating your partner's feelings and making an effort to see things from their perspective, even if you don't share that perspective.
Sometimes just feeling heard and understood can be enough to de-escalate a conflict.
Okay, so we've covered romantic relationships. What about family dynamics? Families can be wonderful, of course.
They can.
But they can also be incredibly complex and challenging.
Oh, yeah, we all have those family members who push our buttons.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, family is family, and maintaining those bonds is important, even when it's difficult.
It is, and charisma can play a significant role in strengthening those family bonds and navigating those complexities. One key takeaway from the source material is the importance of adapting your communication style to different family members. What works with your sibling might not be the best approach with your grandparent or your young niece.
That's so true. I've definitely learned that I need to adjust my communication style depending on who I'm talking to in my family. My dad appreciates a direct, no-nonsense approach, while my mom responds better to a more gentle and empathetic style.
Exactly. Charismatic individuals are adept at code switching, adjusting their language, tone, and manner to connect with each person in a way that resonates.
It's about being attuned to the unique needs and preferences of each family member and tailoring our communication accordingly. And the source material also highlights the power of storytelling in family settings.
Storytelling is such a beautiful way to connect generations, share family history, and pass down values.
I love those family gatherings where we share stories about our childhoods, our grandparents, those funny or heartwarming moments that have become part of our family lore.
Those stories create a sense of shared identity, a feeling of belonging, and a connection to something larger than ourselves.
And they help us understand our place in the family narrative.
Exactly. And when conflicts arise, charisma can help to de-escalate the situation. The ability to remain calm, listen without judgment, and find common ground can often make the difference between a full-blown family feud and a peaceful resolution.
It's about being the peacemaker, the voice of reason in the midst of the chaos.
Exactly. And remember those empathy skills.
Yes.
Even if you disagree with a family member's perspective, make an effort to understand where they're coming from.
Okay, so we've talked about romantic relationships and family dynamics. Now let's dive into friendships. How does charisma help us form and maintain those important bonds?
Charisma plays a key role in making those initial connections and deepening friendships over time. Charismatic people tend to be good at making others feel valued and understood. They practice active listening. They show a genuine interest in their friends' lives, and they remember details from past conversations. Those small gestures demonstrate that they truly care.
They're the kind of friends who make you feel like you're the only person in the room, even if it's a crowded one.
Exactly. And charismatic friends are supportive without being overbearing. They offer encouragement and assistance in a way that empowers their friends, and they celebrate successes without a hint of jealousy. They're there for you in times of struggle, offering comfort and understanding without trying to fix everything.
They're the ones you can call at 2:00 a.m. when you're having a meltdown, and they'll just listen without judgment.
Right. They provide a safe and supportive space for you to be yourself, to share your joys and sorrows without fear of rejection. And the source material also talks about maintaining friendships over time and distance, which can be challenging in our busy lives.
It's so easy to lose touch with friends when life gets hectic, but those strong friendships are so valuable. How can we maintain those connections even when we're geographically separated or just plain busy?
Well, charismatic individuals make an effort to stay in touch even when life gets crazy. They might send a quick text, make a phone call, or schedule a video chat, and they use their storytelling skills to share their experiences and help friends feel connected even when they're miles apart.
It's about keeping those lines of communication open, even if it's just a few minutes here and there, and it's about making time for each other, even when our schedules are packed.
Exactly. And charismatic friends use their empathy and listening skills to stay attuned to their friends' lives and emotions. Even from a distance, they might pick up on subtle cues in a text message or hear a hint of sadness in their friend's voice during a phone call.
They're sensitive to those unspoken emotions, and they reach out to offer support, even if they can't be physically present.
Exactly. Now we've covered romantic relationships, family dynamics, and friendships. What about those broader social situations?
No.
Parties, networking events, those times when you're interacting with people you might not know very well.
Those situations can be nerve-wracking for some people.
Hey.
I know I used to dread going to parties where I didn't know many people, but as I've gotten older and hopefully a bit more charismatic, I've learned to enjoy those interactions. So, what are some tips for navigating those social situations with grace and ease?
One key is to make others feel comfortable and valued.
Okay.
Use open and welcoming body language. Make eye contact. Offer genuine smiles. Remember, charisma is often about making others feel good about themselves, not just impressing them with your own qualities.
It's about putting people at ease, making them feel welcome and included.
Exactly. And when you're talking to new people, use those active listening skills to show genuine interest. Ask open-ended questions, follow up with thoughtful responses, and remember details they share. This shows that you're paying attention and that you value what they have to say.
It's about making the other person feel like they're the most important person in the room, at least for that moment.
Exactly. And charismatic people are great at finding common ground, even with people who seem very different from them. They can converse on a variety of topics and quickly identify shared interests or experiences.
They're those social chameleons who can blend into any crowd and connect with people from all walks of life.
Exactly. And it's about cultivating a sense of curiosity and a willingness to learn from others.
It's about approaching every interaction as an opportunity for connection and growth.
And in group settings, charismatic individuals often become facilitators. They introduce people who have things in common, draw quieter individuals into the conversation, and smoothly change the subject if things get tense or awkward.
They're the social glue that holds the group together.
They are, and they're adept at reading the room and adjusting their behavior to create a more harmonious atmosphere.
It's like they have a sixth sense for social dynamics.
And remember, being charismatic in social situations doesn't mean always being the center of attention or dominating every conversation. Sometimes the most charismatic thing you can do is shine the spotlight on others, asking questions that allow them to share their knowledge or experiences.
It's about being a generous conversationalist, giving others the space to shine.
Exactly. And when those inevitable, awkward, or uncomfortable moments arise,
Oh, yeah.
charisma can help us navigate those with grace.
Those moments when someone says something inappropriate or the conversation just hits a dead end, how do we handle those gracefully?
Well, charismatic people often rely on their sense of humor to diffuse tension. A well-timed joke or a lighthearted comment can go a long way, and they're also good at gracefully exiting conversations or situations that aren't productive or enjoyable. They might politely excuse themselves to get a drink or say something like, "It's been lovely chatting with you, but I need to catch up with a few other people."
So it's about being socially savvy and knowing how to gracefully navigate those tricky social situations.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground today. Exploring how charisma can enhance our interactions in all areas of life, from our most intimate relationships to those fleeting encounters in social settings. What's the key takeaway here?
Well, for me, the key takeaway is that charisma is a skill set that can be learned and developed. It's not about becoming someone you're not, but about becoming the best and most engaging version of yourself. By honing our self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and communication skills, we can create deeper connections, navigate challenges with grace, and make a positive impact on the world around us.
I love that it's about using our charisma to enhance our own lives and the lives of those around us.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of charisma. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been fun.
It has. Until next time, keep diving deep.